Hey guys, this is the Real Estate Podcast, and this is your host, yours truly, Matt Teifke. Real quick before we dive in, if you don't mind, please make sure to subscribe to our channel. We want to get the message out that real estate can be for everybody. We want to share the entrepreneurship that we're learning along our journey. So before we dive into the episode, please make sure you share with your friends, and we want to continue to add value. So thank you guys, and let's dive right into the episode.
Yeah, I've talked about it like a real full circle moment for the cannabis industry where a big cannabis company like us is buying actually a former federal prison in New York State. And we're going to take a place that used to lock people up for marijuana and employ them gainfully and create economic stimulus by manufacturing marijuana and selling it legally. And we will build a marijuana campus. We're investing lots of money, between $50 and $100 million into a campus that'll produce cannabis. We'll grow it indoor. And make our brands and CPG products to distribute to our stores and stores throughout the state.
All right. Welcome everybody to the Real Estate Podcast. Matt and Alex here in Austin, Texas, and we're super excited. We got Ben Kovler, CEO, Green Thumb Industries. Man, we couldn't be more pumped up for you to join. Appreciate your time, and thanks for coming on.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. You're doing some really cool things, and I love listening to your interviews and every time you come out and talk. In a lot of ways, I feel like you're leading the industry in the sense of, just from my perspective, like somebody who actually enjoys and promotes the plant and also the social equity side, but also running the business. So what we'd love to do, man, if you're okay with it, is kind of give us a little quick background of kind of how you got to the position you are in today, leading Green Thumb, and we'll just dive in with questions and talk about the company as we go.
Sure. Happy to be here and happy to share the story. Ben Kovler, born in Chicago. My background, went to school in Chicago, then went to undergrad in California, voted for Prop 215, which was actually the first medical marijuana bill in the country. Very American experience in California. It's grown now over the last 20 plus years. I went out of college into private equity in the business world and consumer packaged goods, CPG, similar to some of the stuff we're doing now. I left that to teach school. I spent 3 years teaching math in the classroom. I like puzzles, brain teasers, numbers. Comes up in several different things during the day for me. I enjoy it. Started doing investing on the side, saw the cannabis business, moved back to Chicago. Was working in the equities business, running a portfolio of equities, hedge funds, and then direct operating businesses. Got my MBA at the University of Chicago while running a small operating business, like running operating companies. Started something called Invest for Kids, which is a hedge fund charity conference in Chicago centered around great ideas, raising money to invest in children's charities, driving opportunity. And then kind of along came cannabis. I read the law in late 2013. It was really implemented in 2014 in Illinois, the medical cannabis pilot program. So I'd seen California and I'd seen Colorado. My wife was from Denver, so we'd seen the business there, but it was a little different. And the Illinois opportunity looked quite good. And one thing led to another. Happy to go into any detail you want. But we applied, raised money, and did well in Illinois and built the business really brick by brick, starting in 2014 to where we are today in 2021.
It's beautiful, man. And I love your, for me, it's like a famous interview where you talked about new facts being hard, and we believe in math. And I always see you posting little brain teasers on Twitter. So it's pretty cool. And one thing real quick is congrats. I saw today you guys just released the news about the Chelsea location. And so that was today. So that's pretty exciting.
Thanks. Yeah, that opens tomorrow in Chelsea, close to Boston Logan. If you land, go over to what's Green Star, soon to be Rise next year. But a great new location, beautiful build out near the Encore over there as well. So it should be great.
One thing I'd like to talk about, since this is the Real Estate Podcast, I love the concept of the property you guys bought in Warwick and the old prison. Can you kind of tell us about that and how that played out and what that might look like in the future?
Sure. Yeah, I've talked about it like a real full circle moment for the cannabis industry where a big cannabis company like us is buying actually a former federal prison in New York State. And we're going to take a place that used to lock people up for marijuana and employ them gainfully and create economic stimulus by manufacturing marijuana and selling it legally. So we're taking the land. It's in Warwick and Orange County, just north of the city. Beautiful area, very fertile ground, famous for a lot of things like the wine country and the apples and various things there. And we will build a marijuana campus. We're investing lots of money, between $50 and $100 million into a campus that'll produce cannabis. We'll grow it indoor and make our brands and CPG products to distribute to our stores and stores throughout the state. So we've broken ground. Just saw some pictures recently. It's going well. We expect to be operational by the end of next year, really like within a year from now with product in 2023, hopefully aligned with when the state turns on.
And something like that, I'm assuming it will not have a retail component to it. It's more just the operations.
100%. It's a manufacturing facility. That product will leave there securely to go be delivered to point of sales dispensaries. Whether I don't know if Warwick's doing a dispensary or not, but not our plan at the moment. There's a campus for production.
And are y'all going to be working with some form of organization that helps employ people when they're getting out of prison? Is that what you're saying? Your goal is to hire people who used to be locked up now to work in this facility?
Well, two different things. One is the hiring plan there that will incorporate that, but this is more about just buying this facility and creating an economic stimulus there. There are not a lot of local people that used to be locked up in the prison there to employ. Instead, for that sort of thing, we're active with several different groups. Like in Philadelphia, we just underwrote a Philadelphia Lawyers for Social Equity that's working on getting people out of jail and then clearing a record when they're out of jail. Why Not Prosper and other sorts of groups. But we would like to target a workforce that's both local and with prior records or problems based on the war on drugs. Oftentimes the rules within the state make that hard, but we're trying to attack that problem in several ways.
Yeah. I'm curious, Ben, I know you guys have a big focus on, like you said, CPG and building out a bunch of different brands. I love the different concepts and I'm super intrigued by the beverages that y'all have. We can't get them here in Texas, although I'm dreaming of what those taste like. But someone like yourself, you're leading a really big, one of the largest in the world cannabis companies, and it's a legitimate business. And there's still this stigma out there of the way people judge the plant. Like, I'm just kind of, I don't know the exact question, but kind of curious what that's like for you. Like, leading this company and then people still thinking like people should be in jail for this. And if you're still having to have those conversations, or are you removed from people like that don't understand it and you're just focused on building this business?
It's a great question. No, there's a lot of stigma. There's a lot of misunderstanding. I don't come across too many people that think we should continue to lock people up. It seems a lot of people are stuck in the sort of conundrum hypocrisy of what's going on here without a path out. There's not a lot of anti-vibe. There are some people, but you have basically 70% of the country approving adult use, over 90% in favor of medical. So, excuse me, there are probably some fringe opinions on the negatives of the product, but in general, it's becoming more and more accepted. However, that's not about the stigma of use or the stigma of the plant, which I think is also part of your question. First, I like it. I like the fertile ground. I like the nature of changing the way people think. I think it's exciting, and you challenge people's assumptions, and things can get a little better. You think freshly. So to me, that's fertile ground. That's fun thinking. And we lead by example. We're trying to build credibility with everything we're doing versus banging the chest and saying we're going to lift this much or weigh this much or have this much. And we just kind of get out there and start doing it, employing people, doing it well, serving the patients, serving the consumers. And we think we build good credibility and continue to do so.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a lot of obviously factors going on, like big companies trying to get involved in the space and, a lot of people that are maybe all talk, but obviously you guys are leading the industry in a lot of ways. And I've listened to you many times where you're like, the stock market or the financial market may be doing a certain thing, but we're not worried about that. We're focused on getting this message out on what the plant can be and the power of it. And you always fall back on like, there's people in jail right now, and this is messed up. And so I just really respect the way you're approaching the industry. I know you're a cannabis fan yourself. And the CEO, which is pretty rare. Like most of these people are maybe just CEOs and then, they don't smoke the plant, they don't touch the plant. And so as someone who's passionate about the plant, like it's cool to see someone leading the industry on both sides.
Thank you. Yeah, no, fully into it. I mean, look, you got to have the passion for it. I don't think I'd still be doing it if I wasn't enjoying it, and loving it and trying to drive the experience. To me, there's a lot of fertile new ground. This wave has not fully come across the country, and I don't think people fully know what's going on one coast to the other. We just opened a consumption lounge, Speakeasy. We got some media coverage in the last week. The on-prem experience is brand new. We don't have the holy grail for how it's going to work, but we know that people are consuming, and why should they all be consuming in their garage or their backyard? And can't we offer some really forward thinking? And, you know, we like that sort of stuff. We're driven by that. So I appreciate your comments, and we think there's a lot more to go.
Yeah, absolutely. What's the main goals right now? I mean, it's just kind of because like things aren't going to be opening up anytime soon. I mean, I guess that could change, but just keep building the footprint for Green Thumb. I know you have some really cool different locations and different brands. Is there anything on the horizon that you'd like to talk about, or that you find super valuable?
We're working on a lot of different things. You know, the main focus remains high quality product. I think, you know, it all starts with the flower. If we can continue to drive the quality of Rhythm flower nationally, we're going to win. We don't always get it perfect. We're working on a lot of different new, fresh things, but it all starts with that. We understand that as a company. We're focused on that. It's hard to scale it. We've seen a lot of stumbles on it, but our core thesis around that has remained true, and we continue to focus on it.
Can you talk a little bit about the beverage? You know, one thing that I'm super intrigued on is, like I said, what those things taste like. And I personally feel like they're a really good replacement for alcohol. I don't know if beverages are getting that traction. What I feel like they can is that maybe because of the logistics of how you can get these out to consumers. Am I accurate in that it could potentially be a replacement for some people? Like, how do you view beverages in general?
Yeah, very exciting. So first, it sounds like it's just time for a road trip. Come to Illinois, go to
Yes.
Massachusetts, California. The product's awesome. And you're totally right. It's a replacement. Think of it as the Chardonnay or the White Claw, better for you, all natural, less calories. And so we're seeing a lot of traction. We're seeing a lot of adoption. There's a lot of interest. The point of sale remains the dispensaries. In a place like Illinois, there's a limited number of stores, and it's not as widely accepted. It's certainly not available in any sort of on-prem experience, but it's coming. And so we like to be a little bit ahead of the curve. It's a small segment. It's a large capital investment. There's a lot of things that don't make a lot of sense. The supply chain's not ready for it. The trucks can't handle it. The vaults are full. You know, the bags are too big. There's not enough deliveries. There's a lot of reasons why it kind of doesn't work. But to your idea of, you're at an outdoor wedding, do you want more beer, or do you want an ice can, you know, lemon lavender, which is awesome, and, you know, no hangover? And I still can't find anybody that likes to be hungover. I'm not sure how it is down in Texas. I don't spend enough time, but I don't think that people like hangovers there. They drink. So major replacement, you know, alternative experience. So that's not going to kill the alcohol business in any way, shape, or form, but it's additive.
Yeah, it's just so unfortunate. Like you said, I mean, it's being held back by it can only be sold in these dispensaries. And I don't know how long it's going to take, man, but just sitting on the sidelines, like, we got to get this out there. Genuinely can't wait. One thing I also want to touch on, just hearing it from the outskirts about the big pressure with, some people were really wanting safe banking to go through. How does that affect you guys? Is that like I know it'd be better if that opens up, but as far as running your businesses and your retail dispensaries, is that as big of an issue as a lot of people would like to make it seem, as far as not being able to bank with certain institutions?
It's a major factor running an illegal business, not having the same kind of access. We've been able to be successful in this environment. We'll be able to be successful if things become more normalized. There's more access as well. But it's certainly an impediment and a barrier to entry. So if one of the goals of the industry is let more people into the industry, keeping the barriers of entry into the industry high makes zero sense.
Wow.
It just doesn't make any sense if you think logically for what the goals are. So for a business like ours, it can go from good to better. Things can continue to improve, but it's not a must need. We sort of said the Green Thumb is positioned to not need federal change in order to be successful, profitable, cash flow positive. We have a huge amount of growth pent up in the business based on the consumer demand for the product that the rules allow us to do. There's a very wonky tax structure that is incredibly punitive. There's non-listings and capital market environments. The cost of capital is more or less normalized, but access to is a major deal. So, we're in the side of having access. So it's not going to materially impact the business in a make or break sort of fashion. However, if the industry wants more people in the industry, we've got to let it easier for people to get in and borrow money and have access to capital to fuel the capitalism cycle.
Yeah, No, I mean, 100%. It seems like probably another conversation, but these politicians that are saying like, we don't want to give these big companies access, and it's like you're hurting everyone else. Like like you said, y'all are going to be fine, and I know that you care about the other side of the equation as well. But it just seems like there's something else going on there on why they're restricting people
I
from
haven't
getting
heard
money.
that line, but that doesn't. You're right. The logic behind that doesn't make sense. And like I've said before, DC is a place where common sense and logic do not lead the conversation. We try to run the business led by common sense and logic, so that's why those are at odds often. I try not to burn a lot of calories there. Um,
Yeah, no, I hear you.
With y'all's emphasis on the consumer experience with your products, what do you feel Green Thumb does that separates yourself from anybody else? And like, what is y'all's focus on, R&D and getting your teams to develop the best consumer experience with your products? Is it quality, like in the flower and having the best flower out there available, or is there other things involved with the experience as well?
I mean, it's all of the above. It's a good question. It's how to differentiate. A lot of people are chasing. It's keeping that honest brand relationship with the consumer and high quality flower. So it's every detail from seed all the way to sale through the process. It's not one single thing, and then it's driving R&D on product development, especially on the CPG side. So it's a sort of a non-answer of what differentiates us. Sort of the consumer judges every day as they walk into the store and have their options as a brand new experience. So we're trying to load it up so that we're set up in a position to win. We think just how we go about grabbing the mind share of the consumer and what the products are and what's inside is a successful formula. But it's all of the above, kind of a little of this, a little of that, in order to make it work. And so far so good, but a lot of work to go. This industry is just really forming now.
Ben, I'm curious. I know you have a lot on your plate, a lot to handle, a lot to focus on. How do you look at something like Texas, for an example, where there's not a lot going on? Obviously, it's a big market. Do you guys think about it, or you just say, "Hey, we'll worry about that later. We got plenty to handle." Like, how do you stay ahead of certain markets like that?
Yeah, we've had a pretty U.S. centric focus, so we're not incredibly focused internationally on what's happening there. So that means we're following what's happening in the U.S. pretty closely. There's only 50 states. There's not 150. So we're watching pretty much every state, and the population of the states matter. Texas is a largely populated state. So the medical market in Texas exists. There's funky rules. There's 3 operators currently. We're following it.
Yeah.
With y'all mentioned that you have a lot of stuff going on, which I understand. Is there any project or any direction or any new venture that y'all are currently working on that you're really excited about here in the near future?
Well, I think there's a lot of different things. Well, certain product developments are pretty exciting coming. I don't want to tip the hand too much there. So that's exciting. We talked about on-prem consumption. Look for that to continue. I don't know if that's a big needle mover for the business on a revenue side, but I think it's a differentiator for us. And then I think the new states opening. If you look at 2021, you had 4 states turn on or approve: New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Virginia. All 4. I think New Jersey was the end of last year, then the governor signed it this year. But literally, that's a 2021 event. Those are 4 markets. It's about 40 million people. It's a very big market and hasn't turned on. None of those have gone adult use yet. Connecticut has an established medical program, but the other ones are like nascent. So that's the focus. I mean, it's still kind of square one, day one situation versus something too far out there. So that's why I would say the exciting part of the business. We continue to watch California. I think there's a lot of attention and minutes paid to California. We hope not to lose a lot of money in California as a business and for the shareholders, but watch that market and learn and see what's happening.
That's great. Well, Ben, we really appreciate you, man. We appreciate you coming on and taking the time. Anything else that you'd like to touch on or you would find valuable to just get out there to some of our listeners?
No, love the interaction with fans, consumers, shareholders, whoever it may be. This is brand new, and particularly on the product. We respect a lot of high quality product, and we know that there's a lot of people out there that have a real relationship here. So, that's what we want to continue to foster and enable. Maybe you're not right now in Texas, but welcome you guys to come on up, travel north, I'll welcome you in the consumption lounge, and you can broadcast your next one with somebody else if you'd like. But no, excited about where we're all headed.
That'd be great, man. Well, thank you so much, and keep leading the industry, man. Keep laying it down when they ask you these tough questions. We appreciate you.
No problem. We're here. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks,
All
guys.
right. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Take care.